This one here that we're gonna play
This
is like stupid new. Alright? Just stupid new. We're just gonna play it because what the hell, why not, right?
Right.
You guys wanna hear a stupid ass new song, right?
Yeah.
Cool. It's a little different, but it's fun.
Hey. Yeah.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. The race cars, lasers, airplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve the mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales. Ooh. Every day they're out there making DuckTales. Ooh. Tales of daring, do bad and good luck tales. Danger, watch behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. What to do? Just grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! Every day they're out there making DuckTales. Woo! Tales of daring, do bad and good luck tales. Woo! Not ponytails or cottontails, no DuckTales. Woo!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joke, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, as in the case with most days, we have got a glorious panel here of folks who break down the upcoming weekend's shenanigans stock that is UFC 264. We will go over the news and recent events that have shaken down the tree, as it were, since the last time we saw you fine folks, and go over all of this here in just a little bit. But before we get into the shit talking and shenanigans just quite yet, take a moment and go around the room and welcome this panel full of glorious motherfuckers here into the show this evening. First and foremost, a new face and an old face at the same time, a guy who's literally been sticking his neck out all week to get here, the one and only Mr. Nick Devine. How you doing, buddy?
All right, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Long time no see. Hope everybody is well. Can't wait to talk about all the shenanigans and the fights this weekend. Lots of good ones. I'll pass it on to the next person. Let's get with it.
Hell yeah. And then across the octagon from Nick this evening, as it were, the current interim purple strap holder, as the case may be, the previous new guy of new guys, Mr. RJ Official. How you doing, buddy?
I mean, it's black, but the purple one's coming, damn it. I'm doing pretty good, man. Good to be here this evening. And 4 meter, as I have the last couple of weeks, everybody do not forget that we do have our Discord channel linked in the description to this video. Go over there and check it out. It's also, as Meter just did, it's also on the bottom of the stream that's being broadcast here on I'm No Joe on YouTube. For those that are listening on the audio format of their choice, go over, hit the link, go over to Discord, check our Discord out, go to our fan Q&A section, and just drop a question that you'd like us to answer live here on the broadcast. That is all for me for right now.
We'll turn this kid into a promo machine just yet. Just you fucking wait. Oh, and then, as it were, more often than not, across the octagon from myself, my Wednesday night homeboy, my combat talking compatriot here, the one and only Golf T Vapes. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad. Glad to see we have our lackeys back under control and doing the promo like they're supposed to. So,
you know, sometimes you gotta not feed them for a couple weeks and kick them in the corner, but eventually they always come around.
That's it. Got to keep them motivated somehow.
That's right. That's right. Oh, so as is the case more often than not, we have got a little bit of news that we're going to go over here real quick before we jump into this weekend's upcoming craziness that is UFC 264 here. A lot of fight announcements have come down the pipe this week. I will say this. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 5 of them are, for whatever reason, being reported like they are made, but they are all ITW, in the works fights. So apparently, for whatever reason, this week of all weeks, all of the MMA media sources decided to start running fights that are supposed to be in the process of being made, but still haven't been confirmed yet, because apparently we're at that point where rumors of a fight are good enough to get the fucking buzz stirred. So whatever. We'll cover those couple as well as we run down this list here real quick before we get into some upcoming pay-per-view kicky punchy. The first one I want to talk about real quick, the return of a man that a lot of folks will know but have not seen in a hot minute here, when Mr. Nate Marquardt is officially stepping back into the octagon on August 6th, headlining the Titan FC card. So despite not being the UFC guy that some folks may have recognized him as, he is still doing the damn thing. And if you've seen any of his socials, that man's still a bad motherfucker. So I'm very interested to see what Titan FC is going to be able to do with Mr. Mark Ward over there, since he is no longer under that UFC banner, sadly. Speaking of folks who are no longer under the UFC banner, though, the one and only BKFC banger himself, one and only Jason Knight, has officially signed with the PFL to make his debut August 27th. So he has gone all the way around the circle here. Basically, he went from the UFC all the way out to BKFC, where he absolutely fucking established the concept of bare knuckle here in the States, and then went through the Masvidal bare knuckle MMA to come all the way back around to join in the PFL and try and get himself a shot at that $1 million season money. So, I mean, with Pettis out and smoked 0-2, with fucking Fabricio out and hurt and now chasing after the fucking potential Fedor rematch, PFL really needs somebody to fucking step up, and Jason Knight showing up and fucking wrecking shop is not a bad way to try and bring some good headlines back in there, in my opinion. Here we go. The first of the they're in the works fucking fight announcements here. For the August 28th UFC event, they have announced they are quote unquote working on the new main event for that card, being one Giga Chikadze versus Edson Barbosa. He called for it. It appears that the UFC is going to give him what he asked for. That's a crazy fucking matchup. That's two of the most dangerous kickers in the fucking UFC, if not all of MMA, getting ready to square the fuck off. And I think that's going to be real interesting if they can actually make it happen. I hate that it's one of those fucking in the works fights that they announced this week, but if that one actually makes it through the works and gets to be a fight, holy shit, that's going to be a fucking fun one. Excuse me. One that is not in the works, in between a couple more that are here. September 18th, Raquel Pennington getting back into the octagon, taking on the hardest to flush turd I have ever fucking seen, that is Pani Kianzad, who is still somehow hanging around every time it seems the UFC literally tells her, if you lose this fight, you're getting cut. She manages to squeak through by the skin of her teeth like she did the last time we saw her out. And now the UFC is going to give her someone of a little more recognizable name in Raquel Pennington. Not that Raquel is still, top 5 title contender or anything at the moment, but it is a more recognizable name. So this could be the thing to keep her in the UFC, or if she fucks this one up, this could be the one that they've been waiting for, to finally just kick her fucking down the road, send her ass on to Bellator, where I could have sworn she has already fought once, but apparently not. Then we have so this might be the biggest stretch of the in the works fights I can remember being ran with without a contract, a hot fucking minute. But as of right now, the projected rumor is that the co-main event being added to UFC 266, taking place on September 23rd, will be none other than the return of one Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler, a rematch quite literally 17 years in the making. This rematch is almost older than RJ.
I am 26, damn it.
I know. And 9 years after that, they fucking fought. While RJ was still mumbling around with a bottle hanging out of his mouth, the Diaz-Lawler fight went down. And we are now in the midst, this fucking close, apparently, to seeing that rematch go down. I said it when we talked about it last night. I'll say it again now. Wolf, tickets. I don't give a fuck how close they say it is to being made. If contracts have been issued and just haven't been returned yet, I don't fucking care. Nick Diaz isn't coming back until I see the cage door close behind him and the referee start the goddamn match for the belt ring. I don't fucking believe it. We have been literally told more than a dozen times since the last time he was in the cage, Nick Diaz is coming back. How many fucking times have we heard Dana say now, Nick Diaz wants a fight? Well, I don't fucking care how many times Dana White says it. Until the fucking door closes behind you, it's all talk. And at this point, I am still not convinced that Nick Diaz is not selling us fucking wolf tickets. So they're planning it. It is quote unquote in the works. It would be cool as shit if it actually happened, but it is Nick Diaz, so I have zero fucking faith it will actually happen until it happens. That being said, that would be real fucking cool if he actually did get his head out of his ass and bring it back like he keeps saying he wants to do. I am more inclined to believe my MMA journalistic brethren, Jed Meshew, in the fact that every time Nick Diaz says he wants to come back, he picks a big name that would be a great fight, and then he gets toasted and decides, I'm going to go do this triathlon instead. You guys have fun in the UFC for a while. I anticipate very little different of that. At this point, especially with the track record Dana has had lately, I'm kind of anticipating a negotiation issue or some sort of a stall in contract talks here in the next week or two, and then that will fall the fuck apart. So hopefully I'm wrong, but based on the track record of the Diaz brothers, we'll see.
You're probably right. I feel the same way. I'll believe it when I fucking see it.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind getting strung along, but fuck, at least take me out to dinner first.
I'm saying, if this was the first time we had been fucking honey dick like this with a Diaz return, I would be a lot more inclined to have some kind of faith, even a little bit of faith in it. But at this point, like Jed Meshew said, until the fight happens and I have at least 3 good sleeps afterwards to make sure I wasn't dreaming or hallucinating that happened, I don't believe it. Moving along from the potential Diaz return, though, October 2nd UFC card has been added a very, very interesting matchup. Diego Ferreira getting back in there to try and shake the cobwebs off against Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson is on a fucking 5-0 run right now. Not a household name yet, but he's on a 5-0 run in the UFC. And there's a couple of fucking recognizable names on his resume as of right now. Diego Ferreira used to be one of the baddest motherfuckers around, but he is starting to lose a step or two. And it seems like at this point, the UFC is almost willing to throw him out to the wolves to try and let Grant Dawson make a name off of him. It's an interesting matchup, both stylistically and in terms of career trajectories. That's a hard word to say live. But I think it's going to be a fun one as long as it holds together. October's still a little ways out, but if that one holds up, could make for some real interesting fucking scraps. Here we go. The last of the in the works matchups that got fucking rammed down our throat this week. Another one. Excuse me. Not that it wouldn't be a cool fight, but until the contracts are fucking signed and we know for a fact it's going to be a cool fight, it's still kind of rumorish. But as of right now, the potential headliner for that October 2nd card that we were going to see Ferreira versus Dawson on could be, if the contracts get signed and everything goes through, Kyle Dawkins stepping back in to take on Kevin Holland. That's got a whole bunch of interesting fucking stylistic and career trajectory terms coming out of that one as well. But it's another one of those, they're working on it, and it's, you know, sources close to both parties confirm kind of. I fucking hate those stories. I'm really fucking disappointed that there were so many of those kind of stories this week out, but what are you going to do? We did get a confirmation, not in the works, not rumors, of confirmation of two very fucking cool fights. Well, one very cool fight and one interesting fight added to the October 16th UFC card coming up here. The first one being the interesting match. Carlos Felipe stepping back in, this time getting the chance to take on the Pitbull himself, Andrei Arlovsky. So they clearly don't think that Arlovsky is realistically still on any kind of a title contention or a championship run, as it were. They're literally just kind of kicking him down the road to, I think, finish out the rest of the fights on his fucking contract and send him down the road. Carlos Felipe, kind of the same thing. Like, they're not giving him another fucking top name. Like, you're barely catching W's and they're not that impressive. You're getting, 3-round Waller slappers. You ain't getting no fucking main events, no big namers. So I think he's lucky to catch that Arlovsky fight. But the real good fight that they just added to that card to go with it, Ludovic Klein, another 3-0 name in the UFC, making his run against the show's own favorite, Nate the Great Landwehr. The Nate train coming through, getting back in the goddamn octagon after that crazy fucking Juicy J fight that we saw go sideways real goddamn fast. Very happy to see fucking Nate Landwehr getting back into the octagon, especially on a card like that seems to need a little bit of help. That'll bring some fucking spice to it. October 30th, the card before Halloween, UFC 267 has had another interesting fight added to it here. Verna Yonderova, who is on a fucking tear of her own, going up against Amanda Ribas. That is going to be very interesting because both of those ladies rely so fucking heavily on their jiu-jitsu, and both of them have such weird striking styles as well. That's going to be a cool fight to see play out on the pay-per-view card coming up. Couple of pieces of news that are non-fight announcements here. One of the biggest stories of the week basically came down that and I can't believe I'm fucking saying this, but I am. Literally 3 months after winning the heavyweight title in devastating fucking fashion by knocking the champion Stipe Miocic the fuck out with one of the biggest bombs ever thrown in the 265 division, Francis Ngannou has now officially been announced. He has been, how should we say, temporarily sidelined in not being ready to fight on Dana White's timeline in August and wanting to wait until September. The UFC has decided, no, they don't want to wait until September. They are going to put an interim heavyweight title on the line 3 months after Francis won the belt. UFC 265 will officially get a new main event. So August 7th, we will see Derek Lewis stepping in, not fighting for the belt against Francis like was originally anticipated, but now fighting for the interim heavyweight belt, and not against Francis Ngannou, but now against Cyril Gane. There's so much fucking weirdness to unpack in that story.
Just because Dana doesn't want to wait a month,
right? Like, it is very, like, it is Tyron Woodley level clear. Dana White does not want Francis Ngannou to be his champion. He definitely wants him making noise and creating the buzz in the heavyweight division, but he clearly does not want him holding that fucking belt, as is obvious by the 2.5 month reign of Francis Ngannou, while a month and a half of that was literally back home in Cameroon on tour showing off the belt he just won. And a month of that was literally the quarantine for the previously mentioned trip. And now they're putting together an interim strap because UFC wanted a belt on the line in August, and Francis just couldn't get back and then back into camp and trained and ready by August. He literally said, give me, 3 more weeks. Let's do this in the beginning of September and we're good. And Dana said no, and they're putting a fucking interim belt on the line August 7th.
So don't wait a month and then wait 4 more months to put that title back on the line.
Right on a card in UFC 265 that was already headlined by Amanda Nunes defending the 135-pound women's title against Juliana Pena. There was literally already a title fight on the main event, or on the fucking, as the main event of the fucking card. Why do we need Derek versus Cyril Gane for the interim here when we already had a title, and literally 3 weeks later we could have had the actual heavyweight belt on the line again?
Well, this is Dana White saying you'll do it my fucking way, or we'll work without you, because that's
Right?
how Dana White works.
And I hate that
I don't like that for Derek Lewis at all.
I hate that it works out
should
that way,
wait.
but you're 100% right. That's exactly what it is. Dana White says this is my way or the fucking highway, and Derek Lewis, loving them big old fucking dump trucks full of money that Dana sends to his house, says, okay, I'll take that fucking interim fight as well. I mean, to his credit, we're probably pretty confident and guessing that Dana White gave him $8 million for the interim fight.
Yeah.
Since he has already publicly stated several times now he will fight anyone in the UFC heavyweight division for $8 million. I'm pretty sure that's about the amount that Dana probably Venmo'd Derek's ass. But,
How much? What do you think? Who would be the underdog? Do you think?
And that's what I was just about to say. The weird thing about this match, though, is that who really gets the favor in this? If we literally just went from Derek versus Francis potentially for the belt to now Derek versus Cyril for the interim, like, who really gets the rub here? Like, because we all know that Derek Lewis is not in cardio condition, let alone championship cardio condition. But we also just literally saw Cyril Gane fight 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a quick turnaround, but I mean, it's still against Derek Lewis, so you could have a full camp, and he's still like, it's a quick turnaround for him. I don't know, man. It's a little weird, but I mean,
Yeah, I
Dana's
think Derek
gonna
Lewis has done enough, and he even, I mean, it was a shit fucking fight, but he won the first one. It's just, we should wait. That heavyweight, it's a heavyweight division too. Anything could happen. So,
right, and that's the thing that people don't necessarily realize is that this isn't Benavidez versus Figueiredo. Like, this isn't a guaranteed fight. Like, you can't bank on how this one's going to end. These are heavyweights, and besides that, it's Derek fucking Lewis. So you can never bank on exactly what's going to fucking happen in a Black Beast fight. I don't know. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. Derek's got very little time to get his ass in very serious shape if he really wants to be able to stay as a genuine title contender here, because we know Cyril Gane's got the gas tank to go 25 minutes and not gas out. Derek, at this point, I would struggle to give a solid first round to, following his social media right now. He's more worried about chasing hot dogs than he is chasing championships at the moment. I love the Black Beast, but that boy is not taking training anything close to serious right now. So Cyril Gane is not the one to fuck around and just overlook either. So it could be interesting to see how that one plays out. The next one we got here, the UFC has done their latest round of culling. They have cut 5 fighters of semi-recognizable namesake loose from the roster here. Emil Meek, how the fucking crazy Viking. Lara Procopio, no neck herself, got the Rock. Speaking of Roque Martinez got the axe. Alexander Yakovlev got the axe, and the brother of someone who got famous notoriety but never quite caught that train himself, Joe Ellenberger, has officially been released from the UFC. None of the fighters had winning records at this point, and Joe Ellenberger hasn't actually stepped in the cage since 2013, but stayed in the USADA testing pool up until last week. So I will say this: the Ellenbergers might not have made the biggest names for themselves by being champions, but Joe Ellenberger, despite not competing in 7 fucking years, has still tested clean the entire time, willingly, voluntarily. So there is something to be said that when we have somebody popping up nearly every other week these days, pissing hot for something, to have an Ellenberger not even fucking competing for nearly a decade and still voluntarily in the USADA pool and testing fucking clean. So that's something, regardless of your fucking record, that you can legitimately hang your hat on these days. Then we get another, I don't want to really call it historic, but it is kind of a big deal in the new era, in the Venom era, as it were, for the UFC. The UFC has officially announced its first partnership for the new Venom fight kits, their first official fight kit endorsement, they are calling it, from crypto.com. The UFC is officially dipping their dick in the cryptocurrency world, and going forward, as of next month, all Venom fight kits will now have a gigantic crypto.com logo right across the titties of every athlete coming out. I want to say I'm not happy about it, but at the same time, if the UFC has finally gotten off of their Reebok high horse and are willing to go back to the good old NASCAR days of fight kits and let the fucking fighters get as many sponsors as they fucking want, I'm okay if this is how we get back to that, because those are the ways that it's supposed to be done. Every other fucking organization in the world, aside from the UFC, lets the fighters have their own fucking sponsors, so long as it's tasteful. And we saw some shit in the UFC back in the day before they went this way that was very not tasteful. But if we're going to get back to the good old NASCAR days and let these guys make their fucking sponsor money like they used to be able to, let crypto.com kick that fucking door back open for us. That I'm willing to accept.
Let's just not go back in the day. Ow. To the temporary tattoos.
I thought you were having a mental flashback of a dynamic fastener logo right across somebody's gooch.
It was. Let's just not go back in the day to the Speedo temporary tattoos, because we all remember the casino debacle with the temporary tattoo on the back.
I mean, honestly, I'm down for it. I'm down for it. Let them fucking get temporary tattoos and get them fucking banana hammocks sponsored by fucking Speedboat Turtle Wax, whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? If we can get back to those days, I'm with it. I think it was really fucked up that the UFC let Reebok honey dick them with their wallets so fucking hard that the fighters lost all their sponsors. If crypto.com can bust that fucking door back open and get us back to the good old NASCAR days, hey, put me a dynamic fastener logo right the fuck across somebody's taint. I'm with it. Bring them back.
I don't see it
Make
happening.
taint advertising great again.
Like, to be quite honest, I don't see it happening. Because
I don't
even though
either.
UFC inked to deal with those guys, there was not one penny set aside of that deal that says the fighters are going to get any extra money because of it. So
I was just going to say that's the bad part about this is that the UFC made a $1.75 trillion fucking deal with crypto for the 10-year contract that they signed, but zero mention in any of that contract was how much of this money was going to go to the fighters and sponsorship endorsements. Like we knew, at least with the new Venom kits, that the fighters were getting more money from Venom and more of the fighters were getting money from Venom than were with Reebok. That's not the same case in this fucking crypto.com deal. At least it has been released yet. So
yeah, I'm just calling
I do
bullshit.
hope we see something that changes with that, but you're right. And then we got two interesting stories. One kind of not really getting a lot of shine right now. One that is getting all the shine. So I'm going to give the one not getting enough shine the story first here. There was an issue that has happened several times before, but generally not with someone of this type of notoriety here, where samples from the USADA testing pool don't actually get tested in USADA labs. They get sent off because of the volume of test samples that USADA works with. They also send off some of those samples to be tested at WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency labs, the same labs that are accredited by the IOC, where, you know, basically all international trials get tested for the most part. You would think that would be a good thing since that's literally an international organization. Obviously, they would have the proper standards and techniques and ability to run said tests and give them the results and help ease the workload. Except for the second time in less than a year, we have now confirmed that the WADA labs trying to help USADA with their sample testing workload have provided a false positive result. This time, it was Rob Font from his fight against Cody Garbrandt. WADA had provided a false positive test sample, which had pulled him out of competition and officially put him on the docket to be addressed by USADA, because as of now, they don't officially announce and suspend you when they find a result. They actually go through this little mini trial process before any information is even released yet. So we hadn't gotten to an actual suspension or a fine or any type of issue like that yet. They had just gotten a false positive and pulled him from potential competition, lined him on the docket on the USADA list to get talked about, which is how they do that now. But with the results of the WADA test being confirmed a false positive, he has officially been cleared of all potential wrongdoings, and USADA has officially listed his docket upcoming time on the docket upcoming, as canceled, and any potential issues as listed now as a non-violation ordinance, and he is officially back into the pool. Sean Shelby has said that he is officially in the process of trying to get Rob Font another fight as soon as possible to make up for the couple of weeks that he had to spend on the sideline not eligible for competition because of a fuck up that was not his fault. Very happy they got that cleared up. A little fucking disappointed to hear that the World Anti-Doping Agency has had not only one, but two issues just this year, and we're only in July, where a false positive test result has come back and potentially impacted someone's fucking career and their livelihood, because an international organization that should be the literal fucking standard in testing couldn't keep their shit together. Very happy for Rob Font. Very much hope to see him back in there real quick, cracking at somebody in the top 3, if not the next fucking title shot after this whole fucking current debacle gets situated. But Rob Font has earned his way to the fucking top, and a false positive test quite literally could have kept him from being promoted into the title conversation over the course of this year. But now that that is cleared, hopefully we see things start to get put a little bit closer towards the right direction now. And that'll bring us to the last little point of news here before we jump into the actual card talk. It is not easy for these governing bodies in MMA to admit that they were wrong. It is even harder for these governing bodies to fix an open mistake that they have made. Very rarely do we see all of that happen in one sweeping motion. But that is exactly what we got yesterday afternoon when we had the official announcement confirmed by the Golden Snitch himself, Jeff Nowitzki, as of July 7th, currently now active in the UFC. The Nevada State Athletic Commission has officially removed any punishment for marijuana for any combat athlete competing within the state. They released a statement that said that they have recognized how ridiculous it was for something that is legal within the borders of that state to be used legally by any adult and then be punished by this private organization, and that it's time they get with the times, end quote. I don't remember the last time a Nevada State Athletic Commission announcement made me that genuinely happy, but here the fuck we are. It took them literally, and Nowitzki even commented on this, during his tenure at USADA, he has gone from watching them remove Nick Diaz for 5 years and try and suspend him for life for a positive marijuana test to now completely removing it from any sort of testing and any sort of punishment regime, and it being not federally, but statewide, being recreationally legal for any responsible adult over 21 years of age to go and enjoy about their own fucking daily life. Progress is very fucking painfully slow sometimes, but with Nevada taking this step and officially making this known and removing the punishments from it, hopefully other states where the same set of laws are in place there will start to follow suit, especially considering we just literally this last week had an Olympic potential world record setting runner get removed from the ability to potentially run in the Olympics because she tested positive for marijuana after her fucking mother died. And she openly admitted she smoked some fucking weed because her mom died and her head was a little fucked up. Understandably. Hopefully things like this will help progress this conversation to kind of force inject a little common sense into the fucking masses, as it were. Painful though it may be, we're starting to finally get a little bit of understandable and reasonable rationale in the governing bodies, at least of MMA. And as weird as it is, that will carry and resonate into the rest of the world, thankfully. Maybe not immediately, maybe not on a giant scale, but it will carry over. And for that, I am absolutely fucking thankful.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It was stupid. It was a stupid rule, stupid
So fucking
thing to
long
be tested for. If anything, I would think like if I was an athlete, I probably would be using marijuana during that stuff. But if they want to, I mean, I imagine if I was fighting somebody against it, I'd probably actually see it as a benefit for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that was one of the nice things about the UFC 264 media day yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
With the news being out, basically every fighter that sat down at that table in front of the microphone to talk to the press got asked by someone at some point during their spiel, Nevada State Athletic Commission just came down and has officially removed marijuana from any penalties. How do you feel about that? And every single person I saw get asked about that, even the people who said, I have zero interest in that because I don't smoke marijuana, so this does not affect me. All of them agreed that this is such a long time coming and it's so ridiculous that we waited until now to get to this point, but that this should be a realistic good step forward for everyone, whether you consume or not.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be something anybody's really looking at. It's really
Yeah.
nobody's business. I think that's one
I
of the
mean,
drugs. I think it doesn't really matter.
right. Well, and to be fair, we could have potentially had a Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler rematch 5 years ago had not been for
Yeah,
these ridiculous fucking laws that
Yeah.
USADA had adopted.
I don't always agree with Diaz brothers, but he did have a rough road throughout UFC.
I agree as well. I agree 100%. I may not be a Nick Diaz Army member myself.
I'm a big fan, but
I
yeah,
think
sometimes they do stupid stuff, I think.
yeah, no, he most definitely got fucked in that process, undeservedly so. So it's nice to see this finally at least somewhat coming back full circle and starting to make sense at least in the end. Excuse me. But that, however, will bring us to our reason for the season this evening, as it were, the title namesake of the episode, UFC 264, McGregor versus Poirier, the trilogy. We have made it here. Who the fuck would have thought we'd see Conor McGregor in a trilogy of any kind in 2021, let alone the McGregor one to be the first, or the Poirier one rather, to be the first instead of the Diaz trilogy. But here we are. And you know, I will say this. If you remove the Conor McGregor versus Poirier fight from this card, it kind of falls the fuck apart, realistically. This really, for my money, is one of the weaker pay-per-views that the UFC has put together so far this year. And I understand we have already had 2 different pay-per-views with 3 titles on the line on them, and we are only in July. I get that. I'm putting that aside. I'm saying overall, structurally, top to bottom, name value, and fight quality, in my opinion, this is absolutely one of the weaker pay-per-views removed of that McGregor fight that everyone is going to tune into regardless to see. The early prelims this go around are laughably bad. The quote unquote premiere, the biggest eye drawing fight on the early prelims this time around is Jennifer Maia versus Jessica Eye. Last pay-per-view out, there wasn't really a shit fight on the docket top to bottom. Earlies were bangers, prelims were bangers, main card was full of fucking bangers. This time around, we're scraping Jennifer Maia versus Jessica Eye to get the most attention in the first 5 fights. I believe the kids say these days, meh. I firmly believe this is one of the few fights on this card that is exactly where it belongs. Keep this shit on the earlies. Don't fucking try and force feed us this, because both of these fucking Nimrods have had a title shot and gotten demolished. So keep these 2 far away from anything that anyone really wants to see. We're okay with that. I will say the prelims much stronger than the earlies. Again, not really that great in comparison to the previous couple of pay-per-views prelim cards, but definitely not fucking terrible. Getting to see Dricus du Plessis step back in against Trevin Giles nonetheless is going to be very interesting. That guy got one of the shortest and most meteoric rise and falls of last summer of just about anybody that was on Fight Island. That dude made a splash and then disappeared in the course of like 4 fucking days. Not a terrible fighter at all, but talk about a fucking flash in the pan in terms of UFC careers. Du Plessis showed up, fought very quickly, and then fell completely out of public fandom for the most part here. And We have seen Trevin Giles have several issues. We have also seen we have also known Trevin Giles to have issues that prevented us from seeing him in the event where he passed out literally on his walk to the octagon. So it's going to be interesting here to see who of these two gentlemen can, for lack of a better term, get their shit together and show up when you've got literally the most, or what will potentially be the most watched pay-per-view card of the year, a fucking McGregor card in the summertime here. Both of these gentlemen need to get their shit together if they want to stay UFC gentlemen. We'll see if it actually shakes loose, though. And then we get, how do I even phrase this? One of the most both underrated and deservingly undiscussed fights on the card here. Ryan Hall versus Ilia Topuria. Newer casual fans are not going to know either of these names. Folks who have been around a while will recognize both of these names, but for very different reasons. Ilia Topuria is another one of the gentlemen that kicked through the door last summer during the first Abu Dhabi fight run, or Fight Island run, as it were. Ryan Hall is, I would say, probably best known for the Imanari role. His whole technique, his whole game bases around being a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner in the UFC, kind of on a comparative level with Damian Maia, but more recognizable. To his credit, Ryan Hall is an ADCC champion. He is a world accomplished Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. That being said, much like a Damian Maia, he tries to turn an octagon into a jiu-jitsu competition to an extent that it starts to lose value for a lot of fans, if that makes sense. He very much one-trick ponies himself in the jiu-jitsu style, as opposed to most fighters who are legitimate mixed martial artists and can have a little more of a well-rounded game. Whereas Ryan Hall is essentially a dude mad he can't wear his gi into the octagon anymore. That being said, he is a very dangerous black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. But this isn't just a jiu-jitsu competition. This is mixed martial arts. So on one hand, he is a very dangerous man. He absolutely is. On the other hand, ain't nobody wearing a fucking gi here, Ryan. Ilia Topuria is not here to fucking roll. This is a fight, son. You about to get punched in your motherfucking mouth. Let's see how this plays out.
The only thing Topuria has got to do is just avoid letting him touch his leg, because that's all Ryan Hall has is a fucking leg.
I was going to say, as long as you can Heisman,
yeah, that's
get that leg up.
And I would argue that the only thing he is known for in the UFC is Imanari rolling into a fucking leg lock on an aged, beat the fuck up BJ Penn. Does that 2.5, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Yeah, fucking absolutely ridiculous. But hey, whatever it is, and whatever you do, do not go visit his social medias, because all they do in the meantime between fights is bitch how nobody wants to take a fight with him. Just saying.
Hardcore.
Bullshit. Nobody wants to have a jiu-jitsu match with you. There's a difference.
I agree completely. And like I said, to be fair, it's understandable why nobody wants to have a jiu-jitsu match with him. In the world of just jiu-jitsu, he legitimately is a bad motherfucker. He really, really is. The problem is Ryan Hall has a hard time separating the only jiu-jitsu world from the rest of MMA, in my opinion. That's why I would say most people don't want to fight him, because he doesn't want to fight. He wants to do jiu-jitsu in an octagon, but he don't want to do it in submission underground.
Yeah, because he might get his ass whipped there.
Now, the problem with that fucking weirdo fight is that only brings us into another fucking weirdo fight. Nico the Hybrid Price, or as it came out this week, Nico the Sellout Price, versus Michel Pereira. Pereira is predominantly known for doing more backflips than fighting in the octagon during his match. Nico Price is predominantly known for his elbows and hammer fist knockout from the bottom. And now this week, talking about how he has given up Devil's Lettuce because he thought he spent too much money on it back in the day and is now more hyper than ever. So this has all the makings of Gremlins 3 with none of the directorial prowess. This literally has all the mix-ins to be a sugar-fueled clusterfuck. Two very weird dudes to begin with, and now a quote-unquote sobered up, more hyper Nico Price on top of that. This is just going to be like cracked out cats in a duffel bag. I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm saying it's going to be very energetic and very entertaining for at least a brief period of time. The problem with that is I don't really know realistically if this fight has any bearing on the division or the rankings going forward. Both of these dudes are in such a weird place, both career-wise and style-wise. Either one of them could get a crazy submission or a crazy fucking knockout, and it will get them the deserved attention, but I don't know if it would really garner any movement in terms of rankings, if that makes sense.
It's a weird circus, that fight right there. It's a really weird fucking circus. It's literally clowns versus monkeys right there. That's
what I was trying to think of an analogy. I'm like, how the fuck do you even really describe that?
Per is obviously a fucking clown, and Nico Price is obviously a monkey because he does some shit that no human normally can do.
Fuck yeah. I absolutely agree. I think that's a good analogy there. It's absolutely a circus monkey versus a circus clown. It's going to be entertaining. I don't know that it's going to, like I said, I don't know it's going to be a great fight, but it will be entertaining at least. And then that will bring us into our premier prelim matchup of the evening. The return to the octagon, finally, of NBK himself, the natural born killer, Carlos Condit, getting back in here against the very, very hard searching Max Griffin. This is, in my opinion, one of the most slept on fights on this card. Obviously, any card that's got a Conor McGregor fight on it, all eyes naturally gravitate towards that match, understandably. Conor McGregor is literally one of the biggest stars in the world of MMA. But this fight has so much riding on it that people don't realize. Max Griffin is a fucking tear. He is a problem in this fucking division and quickly rising up the fucking ranks. Carlos Condit is on that point, that knife edge in the career where you can see the clubhouse. You can finish this back nine, maybe wreck your numbers a little bit, but have a good time, or you can just go up and go get that drink that you know you're going to get regardless of how the rest of those numbers turn out. This is one of the, especially in terms of some of the earlier news we talked about with the Nick Diaz return potentially being in the wings again. If this fight plays out and the Nick Diaz Robbie Lawler fight actually plays out, this could set us up with another of the potential great rematches in Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit, which again was one of the craziest fucking matchups we could have had 20 fucking years ago. But here we are again in 2021 talking about weird fucking matchups again. But Carlos Condit is at that point you almost can't even jokingly say he's not a spring chicken anymore. He is riding the last of the tread on these tires out right now, and I'm not sure if he's going to make the pit or if he's going to try and push the final laps and just finish the race. But either way, it's going to be very interesting to see how we cross the finish line coming up here pretty soon. Max Griffin is no easy night at the fucking park for anybody, least of all on the fucking tear that he has been lately. I'm very, very curious, genuinely, to see where Carlos Condit is skill-wise at this point in his career. We know what he used to be capable of. But as we've seen, and as we'll talk about again when we get to the main event, what you used to be capable of and what you're currently capable of are not always the same thing and can be drastically different and have a very big impact on your fights. I gotta say, I really hope we see Carlos Condit come out and just look like the bad motherfucker we all used to know him as. But man, I'm having a real hard time picking against Max Griffin lately. Watching a lot of his fucking socials, watching his training, going back, watching some of his most recent fucking fights. Max Griffin is really genuinely starting to put it the fuck together. And I'm a little worried that Carlos Condit might be a little too far over the hill to really bring back the youth and the virality he will need to take this fight. I would love to see him do it, but realistically, I just don't think he's got it left in the tank to take somebody like Max Griffin where he needs to go to win it.
For me, this is a weird fucking fight. It really is. I don't see where Carlos Condit fights Max Griffin in any fucking realm right now. He's on his downslope. He should be continuing to fight other fighters on their downslope. Thus, the last two fights he's had, Court McGee, and then fucking what was his last one here just a couple of months ago?
Matt Brown.
Matt Brown, yeah. All fighters on the back nine of their career. Why are you throwing him against a surging Max Griffin? Let Max Griffin fight somebody who's going to be surging themselves, so we get an actual decent matchup and see what they're made of. And I'm not saying Carlos Condit isn't a good matchup by any means, but he's also knows he's on the back nine. And props where props is due here. He won his last two fights. Albeit they went to decisions. He won them both. Max has been on an absolute tear lately, and I don't see where Carlos can stop him. Don't get me wrong. You can never count out a crafty old veteran. You really can't. But there is a point where the body gives out. Unfortunately, Carlos is getting to that age bracket where, it looks like it could happen pretty soon. Back nine is a strong understatement here. This might be his last chance at one more run at it. If he loses to Griffin here, I think that's all she wrote on his career in the UFC. To be quite honest, even with the two last wins, I could see him cutting Condit if he loses this fight. Easy peasy. Max, if he loses this really puts a damper on his and the rest of his career. A big damper on a guy that's on the back nine of his career, and you lose to him. It's not a good look. But
I was going to say, that doesn't work the other way around, though. I can absolutely agree Carlos could get the axe, but I don't think Max would get the axe for losing to Carlos.
No. And I agree with the odds makers on this. They've got Griffin as a slight favorite. Only slight.
Right.
It's basically a coin flip at this point. And to be quite honest, I agree with them 100% because I can't count Carlos Condit out. It just doesn't work that way. The dude is crafty. He's been around a long time. He knows how to win tough fights. We've seen it before.
Oh, yeah.
This will be for Max, if anything, this will be a test to see where he's actually at. Is he much better than the old dog that's still running the old tricks? Or is he just getting lucky with some new guys that aren't quite as polished as he is?
He has been active. He's been active. I'll give him that.
Well,
Carlos. Him and Matt Brown.
Yeah, I'm still calling it a coin flip though because I can't.
I can't see Max Griffin losing that fight though.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a bad match. I think I think Carlos still has what it takes to make it an interesting fight. I just have a real hard time seeing him have enough to get around Max right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way of looking back at a lot of the Griffin fights, his biggest problem is late second into the third round, wherever he really starts to gas out, because he can't put enough together and keep his game plan intact enough late into the fight like that to really pretty much win the fight, because he has a majority of fights that goes down to decision, and a lot of the decision fights he ends up losing in the later rounds, the last end of the second and all of the third. He pretty much has a bad rap of losing those rounds. If he can't snuff them early, he always loses that third, which is a big problem for him.
Of course, his gas tank's an issue. Look at that motherfucker. He's a
Oh, I
big
know.
muscle-bound cocksucker. And
I know.
that
I was
eats a
I was
lot
gonna
of
say,
oxygen.
yeah, he suffers from the same thing that a lot of the guys, especially in the welterweight division, suffer from in that ice cream cone shape. Those V-shaped motherfuckers burn through oxygen real goddamn quick when they're too goddamn yoked for their own fucking good. Max Griffin's one of them dudes. He's a bad motherfucker. I agree. He's absolutely more of a sports car. He's going to fucking put that gas pedal to the floor coming out the gate, and he might not be as energetic at the end of the fight as he is in the beginning. But much like our fucking headliner, when that fucking opening bell rings and that gas pedal hits the floor, you better hold the fuck on and hope that you're ready, because it's going to be a hell of a ride for that first 2 rounds at the very
Oh, yeah.
least.
It's literally the epitome of a drag car versus a Le Mans car. The drag
Yeah.
might get you off the start, but it ain't gonna run as long as that Le Mans is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm real curious to see how that one plays out. I think it's going to be more entertaining than folks are giving it credit for. And then that's going to wrap us into the beginning of the pay-per-view itself, UFC 264's main card. How should I put this? As if the prelims didn't start the music for you, the main card opens with a full-on circus sideshow event. To his credit, Chris Moutinho accepted this fight on less than a week's notice. Talked about it during the press run this week that he, literally a week ago, was sitting on his mom's couch watching TV with absolutely no intention whatsoever of even worrying about trying to get into the UFC. And then he got a phone call. Then he got a DM. Then he got another DM. Then he got a flood of DMs from all of his friends saying, haha, you're going to get your ass kicked. It's like, what the fuck? Then his manager calls him and says, okay, by the way, the UFC called, you've got a contract, you're fighting Sean O'Malley. He found out he was in the UFC because his buddies already knew and were DMing him that O'Malley was going to kick his ass. That, I think, is pretty fucking hilarious. That's a hell of a story to get yourself debuted into the UFC. That being said, Chris Moutinho is also making his UFC debut against the UFC's MVP, our resident, overly undeserving hyped can crusher. This fight was originally scheduled for Sean O'Malley to take on Luis Smoka, who is on the downslope of fucking downslopes right now. And then, as is the fucking case when you're having shit luck, injury happened for Luis Smoka, and he got pulled out of this fight just a little over a week ago. So, Chris Moutinho, congratulations on the fucking UFC debut on a pay-per-view on the opening fight against one of the most watched guys on that card. This might be literally one of the most highly watched or most viewed UFC debuts by a fighter in recent memory. That being said, Moutinho is not a complete soup can. He is obviously not a full-fledged UFC veteran at this point, but he's not a full-on can, the likes of which O'Malley is generally used to fighting. And in this situation, being the new guy, making his debut, taking this fight on short notice, he quite literally has nothing to lose, in my opinion. If he shows up and he gets starched by that fucking clown, he was supposed to. He took this fight on a week's notice. He was on his mom's couch a week ago. He wasn't in fucking fight camp. He had no idea he was going to be coming to the UFC, let alone facing a fucking loudmouth attention grabber like O'Malley. If he loses, he's supposed to. Now, on the other hand, if he manages to knock this fucking loudmouth out, he may have very well just duct taped his ass to the Falcon Heavy and sent his fucking career into orbit in his debut. If he puts this color-haired clown to sleep on a short notice UFC walkout debut on the first fight of the pay-per-view card where Conor McGregor runs his trilogy, you could have one of the most notable welcomes to this organization that I can remember. And realistically, I think he's got a pretty good fucking chance of doing it.
Yeah, this is literally they're opening the card with more circus. They literally let the biggest clown in the fucking building into this. My hat's off to Chris for taking it on 10 days notice. I'd be like, yeah, fuck that clown. Find somebody else. Granted, you know, I'm guessing they did dump a buttload of money to him too. Albeit, because those short notice fighters, they get paid way more than what a fucking your guy who's already signed a contract has. And not to mention, this is his shot. And I will say I did like what he had to say on Embedded. He said, I'm not saying I'm going to win. I'm not saying I'm going to lose. What I am saying is I'm going to try to make this fight of the fucking night. Yeah. So that kid's already got me hyped for this fight. And I didn't even think about this fight. I didn't even think about it until I saw him on Embedded say that. I was like, you know what? I like your fucking attitude, dude. You gained a fan, period. I'm like, well, win, lose, or draw, you gained a fan purely off of that. I like the way your head works. And to be quite honest, if you can punch that clown into fucking submission and shut his lights out, that'll be the greatest fucking way to start this card that could possibly ever happen.
You want to talk about jumpstarting a fucking career, too.
Yeah,
dude, half the world is watching this fight the same reason they're going to watch another fight in a minute that we're not really going to talk a lot about. They want to see the opposition get slapped, period. And if you could do it,
I don't get why Sean O'Malley's fighting somebody like that's not really known, but whatever. I mean, I don't know him. I don't know the dude at all, but I wouldn't mind seeing Sean O'Malley lose another fight.
I agree.
Seems like the ones that he's lost haven't humbled him. So.
Right. Well, and especially after the UFC worked so hard to keep Sean O'Malley on this card for no real reason. Like, this isn't a Sean O'Malley card. This is the Conor McGregor card. There wasn't any reason when Luis Smoka pulled out. They could have just rescheduled that fight for some time in August or September. There's, plenty more fucking pay-per-views if you want to keep them in front of people. But for whatever reason, the UFC decided they had to keep O'Malley on this card. So, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing the new guy knock him the fuck out.
So, y'all said a week ago he got the phone call. He was sitting on his mother's couch because 4 weeks before he got the phone call, he had a fight. His last fight was 5 weeks ago. And he's a new guy to the UFC, but he's a 3-time North American Grappling Association champion and one of the best grappling artists out of the New England area out of the United States. That's why he got a phone call, because that man is a fucking legend in grappling in the fucking pro-am circuit. That guy's a fucking beast. Fuck knocking him out, he'll choke him out. I young Jamie. I'm the young guy. I'm the young Jamie. I always do background search. But
I wouldn't be mad either.
he's a 3-time North American Grappling Association champion. Like consecutive, by the way, consecutive.
Well,
So-
and with that, especially after seeing the fucking clown embarrass himself at Polaris last year during the fucking team competition, I absolutely wouldn't mind seeing him getting yoked the fuck up and submit to this weekend either.
Dude, that's a better possibility than him getting knocked out.
I could be down for that. I'd be down for him getting yoked the fuck out, considering that the last time he got knocked the fuck out, he literally still denies that it happened and tries to tell people he's still undefeated, even though, there's video. We'll see. I
also wouldn't mind Sean O'Malley giving a performance like he says he can. Like that would be cool to see too. But yeah,
I can't say that I'm an immediate fan of the new guy, but I'm definitely pulling for him in this one. But ironically enough, as if we needed the theme of the evening to be the circus, we've got another pair of clowns fighting immediately after that one. Irene Aldana, coming off of one of the most disappointing performances of her entire fucking career, in my opinion, now stepping in to take on one of the biggest laughing stocks of ladies MMA, especially in the ladies UFC side, or in the UFC ladies MMA side, rather, Yana Kunitskaya. This could not have been a worse fight to put on the main card. This has no relevancy in the division. There is no storyline coming into this fight. There is no beef between these two, and a win by either one of them does nothing in terms of ranking or career achievements. This is quite literally just a ladies' fight on the main card for the sake of equality. The problem with that is that following that set of clowns that follows a set of clowns is going to be followed again by another fucking clown. The good part is that this time, at least, the clown is in there with a guy that we like and that we have the potential to see some fireworks from. Tai Tuivasa stepping in against Voldemort here, who, for whatever fucking reason, has taken it upon himself this week to start calling out Derek Lewis, knowing that Derek Lewis is tied up not only in the actual title conversation, but is confirmed now locked into the interim title conversation, all the while with Voldemort being unfucking ranked because he's a piece of shit. I will say this. Tai Tuivasa has already said that if he has a problem getting a shoey after he knocks this bum out, he's never coming back to Vegas. Now that we've got a fully reopened crowd and drinks will be flowing, I 100% agree with this statement. And if Tai Tuivasa can't get a fucking shoey after knocking Voldemort out, I don't think they should allow fans back in Vegas anymore. I'm not the biggest fan of a shoey, but that's what that man does. And that's what he's known for. And that's kind of where it's been the biggest in Vegas. If you can't let that man do what he does on a moment where he is there to fucking shine, don't let people watch him anymore. Let him be in the empty fucking arenas. Because I think Tai is going to knock this fucking clown out, shut him the fuck up, and then give the old Stone Cold to the crowd. Line it up, knock it down, get her fucking done, bam, bam.
I say give him all the shoeys, every fucking one. Because I'm
man,
about
do a fucking shoey. I mean, let the man do a fucking shoey. Does he want to do a fucking shoey? Let him do a fucking shoey.
I'm just saying, I'm still pissed. His last couple fights, no goddamn shoeys. Not a goddamn one. And none of his fucking coaches, his cornermen, could even have the decency to bring a fucking beer cage side in the goddamn Apex Center to help the fucking man out. I'd be changing my fucking corner too, not just not fighting in Vegas.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you
I agree.
cocksuckers can't know the goddamn rules. You know the fucking rules. Do the goddamn thing. I'm not even going to talk about the other motherfucker. I'm just worried about the shoey aspect here. I know there's a lot of people that fucking like the shoey. I'm not going to do one myself, but I fucking love it.
That's the way I look at it. I'm not going to fucking line up and have nobody hawking shit into my fucking shoe to pour a beer in, but that's his shit. Let that man fucking shine. Don't clip that butterfly's wings.
Look,
let him fly. Damn it.
That's for him. That's not just his thing. That's cultural.
Damn right.
So you have to go with the cultural thing. Stop taking away his fucking culture. Period.
That's right. We don't
give the man a goddamn shoe. Load that motherfucker up with not one, but 2 fucking beers, maybe even 3, because he's been screwed over more than once lately on the shoey.
That's right. Hashtag
That's all I'm saying.
Shoe.
As a man that has done 2 shoeys on y'all's shows, I greatly support the shoey movement. And I'll say it again. If he does not get a shoey, I'll do one next week. I got 1 beer in the fridge. It'll be saved.
There you go.
Fucking, I'll do a shoey for fucking Tai Tuivasa, damn it. I don't give a shit.
There you go. There you go. Oh, so that now will bring us into the part of this card that pretty much everyone genuinely will be tuning in to watch. The part that people actually give a shit about, the co and the main event. We will start first with the co-main. Basically what people are considering the real title contender match at 170 pounds. Gilbert is coming off of a loss to the champion, Wonder Boy being the only top 5er who has not faced the champion. Dana has already said that Colby is getting the next fight as the rematch, but that's also before this weekend's fight takes place, because as we all know, Dana can and has been easily swayed by a great performance. And a guy who's coming off of a loss to the champion and the only other guy in the top 5 who has not fought the champion, a big victory for either one here could mean jumping Colby Covington in that line. It's going to be very interesting to see if it can be done, though, because this is quite literally one of the classic matchups for the ages. This is the jiu-jitsu guy versus the karate guy. This is how mixed martial arts as a format was started, taking literal different professions, different branches of the martial arts tree, and comparing them directly heads up against the other one. Dorino's not going to come in there and stand Tiger Muay Thai style and bounce that front leg. Wonder Boy's not going to come in there and take a wide grappling stance like he wants to fucking go Imanari on. We know who both of these gentlemen are. We know exactly what both of them are going to do. This is kind of the epitome of styles make matchups. This is 2 guys who are kind of different from each other. These are polar ends of the mixed martial arts spectrum, and I am fucking here for it. I will say this. I am a big fan of Dorino, but I have a real hard time based on his socials, based on what he's been doing lately, thinking that he's not still in his feelings about Kamaru putting him down. To top that off, credit where credit's due. When Gilbert Burns found out he was fighting Stephen Thompson, he brought in another karate guy to try and help build that style. The problem for Gilbert is that he brought in Raymond Daniels, a damn near 50-year-old kickboxer who, yes, does have the same or a similar karate background to Wonder Boy, but is quite literally a decade removed from that style of competition or that type of fighting. Yes, you might be able to get some indication of what that karate style is going to bring from Wonder Boy off of Raymond Daniels, but to think for a minute that a fucking aged Raymond Daniels can give you the type of looks that a fucking Wonder Boy is going to give you, you're out of your goddamn mind. I believe Gilbert is going to take this fight very seriously. I just don't know if he's going to be out of his head enough to do what he needs to do against a Wonder Boy to get a win, let alone a win big enough to get him to jump Colby. I think we see a resurgence here. I think we see Wonder Boy coming back to the Wonder Boy we all used to know and love. I think he gets it done, man. I think we see some serious spinning kicks from Wonder Boy. I think he gets back to his basics. I think he stays on that fucking bouncy snake shit that he's known for. And I think Gilbert's going to get fucking worked, man. I really do. I think he's still in his feelings too goddamn much. He can't get over that fucking loss to Kamaru. I think Wonder Boy's going to take advantage of it. I think we see Stephen Thompson catch this fucking W Saturday night.
I'm 100% on board with that. I think Gilbert is probably still in his feelings because that fight wasn't very long ago. And the way that man broke down post-fight, there's a lot to fucking unload there. And I don't think he's had the time to fully unload it. Because he had so much anticipation built going into that Kamaru fight of what was going to happen and how he was going to make it happen. And then when it all fell apart, you watched him fall apart. And to be quite honest, this is a relatively, and I say relatively, short turnaround for him. I mean, that fight was just in February. So he's only fucking 5 months post fucking that fight. In fact, I think it'll be 5 months to the day, if I'm not mistaken, come Saturday. No, it'll be just shy of 5 months today because I think that was in the 13th of February or something like that. But I don't think with the way he broke down after that fight, he's fully with it again. That's something that takes a little more time. And to be quite honest, I don't think Wonder Boy has gotten the credit that he has deserved here. Out of all of the fucking fights that make sense that Kamaru should be fighting, Wonder Boy's the only one in that top fucking echelon that he's skirted around. He's fought everybody but Wonder Boy. He's went down below him. He's had a couple above him and another one below him again. What's the fucking deal here, man? Is there something about is there some sort of matchup that you just don't like against Wonder Boy? Look, I get it. Being the nice guy, it's hard to sell your fights. But because he's the nice guy, it makes it really easy to sell his fights, too. I think the UFC may be fucking him a little bit here. And with a good solid win over Gilbert, that's a fucking notch that says, hey, you know what? You can no longer look past me. If he wins this fight, I think it's a must that he fights for the title, period. Like, there's nobody else in line ahead of him. Fuck Kobe, fuck everybody else in this division. Wonder Boy needs that shot. I still think he needs a shot even if he fucking loses because it's the only motherfucker that hasn't fought him yet. It's the only one that makes sense. And right now, the way Wonder Boy is up, Wonder Boy doesn't stop training. For those of you who don't know, he's constantly training, whether he's teaching kids karate classes or he's in the fucking gym. Like, even God forbid, go watch his fucking YouTube. It's fucking terrible. But at the same time, he's still doing some sort of training during his YouTube shenaniganry. And I say terrible in the nicest way possible because he's literally just a nice guy having fucking fun. That's it. But no, to be honest, I think he's highly underrated.
Yeah.
And he does put on some fucking dominant performances. Not to mention, he goes out of his way to help somebody up when he knocks him down during the middle of a fight. Vicente Luque, I'm looking at you.
Literally.
I'm just saying, why wouldn't you want to watch him fight somebody? He's
the NMF. He's the NMF. Nicest motherfucker. You should get that belt.
There's no fucking killer in this dude. So I don't know where he pulls the killer out because it's literally not there. But he goes in and he finishes people.
When he's in that cage, though, he looks meaner. He looks pretty fucking mean, dude. And I think he's gonna dismantle.
You can't say he looks mean in there. He's fucking apologizing to people. Sorry I hit you in the face. Sorry I kicked you in the abdomen. Here, let me help you up. Sorry about that.
I guess I see it in the eyes.
Come on now. Yeah, no, that's I'm calling bullshit on that. All I see is happy-go-lucky fucking let me find some more and kick you in the fucking teeth.
Yeah, there are very few guys besides Wonder Boy who will quite literally give you a high five for punching him in the face during the fight.
Yeah. If you catch him clean too, he's like, hey, good job, man. Fucking high five.
Man. You rang my bell. Ding.
So weird fucking situation, but man, still think he's highly underrated and he does deserve the next shot. I really think that. But I do see him getting it done. And I actually see him putting Gilbert away. I think he puts him away in the third.
I would not be surprised. Gilbert's got a lot of muscle too, man.
Yeah, Gilbert's absolutely afflicted by that ice cream cone shaped disease as well.
I'd be happy for either of them to win, though. They both deserve it.
I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna go with the group only because I'm gonna agree with Burns isn't okay with him losing against Usman. My only thing I'd say is I love Stephen Thompson as a human being. I don't like him as a fighter. I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for that. The only thing I can say with why he hasn't gotten a title fight is a decision doesn't get you a fucking belt. It doesn't in the organization that I fight for, or any organization I've ever fought for. Then again, I don't fight for the UFC, but decisions don't get you a belt. The last wait, let me double check. I think the last fight that he knocked somebody out was in like 2016. I said it before. I think it was Hendricks. Because, his Hendricks fight in 2016. Because I brought it up on the last time we saw him out. It like he did win that fight, but a lot of his fights are decision victories. And a point fighter is a point fighter, but a point fighter very rarely gets a title. They rarely get a shot at getting a title.
Kind of blew 2 title shots in his prime,
which is shit because he's a great fucking fighter. He's great at what he does, but I think that's kind of something that also leans towards him not getting a title shot.
Definitely true. It definitely hurts your chances when you're the decision guy. And I think one of the best literal examples of that in the UFC is Jorge Masvidal. He was literally Mr. fucking decision fighter for almost 3 years. And until he himself decided, I got to start finishing these fucking guys, he wasn't on anybody's radar, really. He went from being the backyard dude to just another guy in the UFC because he was playing the decision game. And when he decided he was done playing the decision game and he was going to start putting motherfuckers away again, is when he really started to surge in popularity and started to get the attention. I completely agree. Wonder Boy is kind of still stuck in that he's okay with getting a decision win because it's still a win. And I get the argument that you got to win, not by decision, but you got to actually win to get a title shot in basically any division other than welterweight right now. Welterweight is so fucking log jammed because Kamaru doesn't want to fight legitimate contenders. He wants to play these fucking games, and the UFC seems to be perfectly happy letting him do it. Kamaru Usman called out Nick Diaz. Not Nate. He called out Nick Diaz. He has also called out Nate Diaz for the next title shot. But he called out Nick Diaz to return and come fight for the title right away. He's that obsessed with not fighting Wonder Boy. So at this point...
I think it's also Colby, too. I don't think he wants to fight Colby at all again.
I mean, I don't blame him. If I broke a fucking dude's jaw and he ain't done shit since then, I wouldn't want to fight that motherfucker again either. But also,
I still think Colby had the it had the points before he got knocked down. I think.
Definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. But I think in this situation, I think in this matchup, I think Wonder Boy has. I think both Wonder Boy has what it takes to get it done, and Gilbert's still so in his fucking feelings about that Kamaru fight from earlier this year. I just it really looks like the stars are lining up for Wonder Boy W this weekend for me. And that, boys and girls, will bring us to the main event of the evening, the meat and potatoes. In the meat and potatoes portion of this meat and potatoes section of our meat and potatoes show here, the namesake of the episode, the biggest event of the summer, Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 3, the trilogy. I'll actually let you gentlemen go first. I will wrap this one out.
What was the last thing you just said? I missed it.
I said I'll let you guys take this one first. I'll close this one out.
Okay. I'll go first because I'm going to be quick probably. The press conference was awesome. We were talking about it before the show started. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I got a lot out of it too. I think Conor took Dustin's advice when Dustin said, mean Conor was harder. The trash talking Conor was harder, and maybe he should do that from now on because that definitely helped. And I think it helped him tonight. I think he got in Dustin's head, but Dustin had some really good jabs back. He did make Conor look like a fool a couple times in that press conference because he's always got, I did not get the fuck out, dude. There's people getting tattoos of that of Conor on the ground and shit online. I think, but after seeing that press conference, I think Conor's going to press hard right in the beginning, and he's either going to do what he wants to do, or Dustin's going to calm the storm, and Conor's going to get tired, and Dustin's going to win the fight again. I would take Dustin if I had to put money on it.
Interesting.
I know. I was actually just about to do that because it's the. Oh wait, I didn't hit it. Let me get the G spot real quick. No, dude, you gotta get up in there, Meter. You gotta get up in there. For me with this, based off of how Conor looked at the last fight, he said it himself. I relied too much on my boxing. I wasn't being an MMA fighter. I was being a boxer. Which is something that he said that he wanted to get better at. He wants better stand-up game because he has a good stand-up game. But with him saying I relied too much on being a boxer, not being an MMA fighter, I wasn't checking my kicks. I wasn't being a fighter. I was just focused on boxing. I was focusing in on just one shot. That's all I was thinking about. That's all I was looking for. I wasn't looking at being an MMA fighter. I think that has remotivated him, and with how everybody is bringing up the dickhead Conor was harder and a tougher person because he got in your head, which is a huge aspect in fighting. The better you can get in somebody's head, the better off you are getting a W. But for me, I think losing to Dustin, Conor always comes back and, okay, what did I do wrong? What do I need to look at? What did I do wrong going into the fight? He said it himself of what he fucked up. He was paying too much attention on just doing one thing on his stand-up game. I think that Conor will come back in and be more focused, have the laser focus on what he needs to do and his game plan and how to make his game plan happen again, like he used to do whenever he was the dickhead Conor. For me, I'm going to say Conor because I want to see dickhead Conor win again. So he knows that being an asshole kind of pays the bills. But I don't think it's going to be fucking easy. This is going to go, for me, I'm thinking late, well, into the fourth, late into the fourth, maybe even early into the fifth before it's over. I think it's going to be a fucking long one.
Man, so this can get broken down a couple different fucking ways. Yes, we can look at the press conference and see that Connor is being the old Connor, which everybody fucking loved because that's usually when he gets shit done. However, there's a caveat to that portion of that where Connor just got his fucking ass whooped in a dominant fucking fashion by round number 2. Dustin's also had his ass whipped by Connor as well. We're a horse piece. Yeah, Dustin can live in the moment right now and say, yep, I won the last one. Blah, blah, blah. The one previous to that was so many years ago. Whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. At this point, I'm going to say wash the fucking boards. And we'll call it a coin flip. But that's not what I'm going to do. Because I don't think that's fucking right. This is all going to depend on, has Connor fixed his fucking mistake of thinking that it's just going to be a stand-up, bang-out war? No, it's not. Dustin, over the course of his career, has proved what happens when you evolve as a fighter and continue to add to your toolbox. There's a reason why he's been at the top of the fucking lightweight division for so goddamn long. We've seen him fight Khabib. We've seen him stay at the top and wreck people. We've seen him wreck Max Holloway. Even though Max Holloway got the first one on him, which is another trilogy I would like to see run back. But hey, that is what it is. I'm going to go a little Max Holloway euphemism there for you. Now, to be quite honest, I really think this boils down to, is the press conference that we saw of Connor, is that the actual Connor we're getting? Or is that just Connor selling fights? Because he's damn fine at selling fights. But look, anybody who's watched Connor socials, which is not really a full tall tale sign into what Conor McGregor does, because he doesn't show a whole lot of any training that he does. You see bike rides, runs, and shit like that on his socials. You don't see any of the actual nitty-gritty shit usually. He spent how many months in fucking Dubai and then just came to the States to finish up his camp out in California? Buys a fucking brand new fucking gym out there just for this fight. Same team, same stuff, same day. I'm glad he hasn't moved away from it because that's what made him double champ. That's what got him to the top. And he hasn't really fallen off. He's just fallen into some bad habits, is what I'll call them. Bad habits of, I think everybody wants to stand and bang with me because everybody wants to knock my teeth out. No, not everybody wants to stand and bang with you because, excuse me, they know this left hand of yours can put them to sleep at any moment because he does have power and precision. However, people have learned to work around that. A la, oh, look at that leg just sitting there. Let me kick it. Oh, look at that leg still sitting there. Let me kick it again. Huh, weird. Why is that leg still there? Maybe I should kick it a third time, and a 10th, and a 12th. And by the second round, you're fucked because you can't fucking move. Even though you said you felt great going back into your corner. Look, maybe you got a high pain tolerance, but the nerve in your leg don't lie. That's all I'm saying. Hopefully, he gets away from that fucking low boy fucking looking karate stance shit that he had going on and into a more fucking mixed martial arts stance. Because there's a difference. A big, big difference. And hopefully he's learned to check a kick. Because unfortunately, like a lot of great fighters that we know, a lot of them still don't know how to check a fucking kick. not going to name names, but there's a fucking metric fuck ton of them out there, and it costs a lot of them fights for it. Now, Dustin, on the other hand, to be quite honest, I don't think he needs to change a goddamn thing that he did since the last fight. Not a goddamn thing. Because this fight is completely on Connor's shoulders. I agree with Dustin 100%. There's not one lick of fucking tension on Dustin for this. This is on fucking Connor, because if Connor doesn't make this happen, he loses all his hype. You can't go down 2-1 in a fucking trilogy and still have your hype train. It doesn't work that way. Don't get me wrong, Connor will still manage to sell way more fights than Dustin ever will in the rest of Dustin's entire career, but that's because Connor knows how to play the game. Now, if we're going to go down to numbers here and say who wins this, I think Dustin gets it done again. I don't think Connor has changed himself enough, because Connor's focused on the rest of his business proprietaries. If you watch today's episode of Embedded, today being Thursday, July 8th, go watch that. He's worried more about McGregor Fast than he is this fucking fight. And guess what? McGregor Fast is making him fucking money. But at the same time, he still falls into that category of it's hard to get out of bed when you're sleeping in silk sheets, man. It's hard to get up and train for that. I don't think he gets it done. The only way Connor gets it done is if he can somehow manage to knock Dustin out in the first round or early into the second. If he gets anywhere past the second round, Dustin outworks the piss out of him. Connor gasses. End of story. And we see either another TKO or a submission victory a la fucking rear naked choke Khabib style, you know? Or maybe I'm not surprised motherfucker Diaz in there somewhere. But yeah, in all honesty, as much as I like seeing Connor win because I like that fucking swagger that he brings to the UFC, I don't think he gets it done. I think this one is all Dustin, and then Dustin gets his shot at the title again and wins the title.
Joe Rogan, I'd like to apologize to absolutely no one. The show host does what he fucking wants. No, I knew as soon as Nick said it, I had a feeling TJ was going to go there as well. And all I got to say is I'm about to Lincoln Hawk the fuck out of this bitch right here. So, press conference aside, the press conference is a fantastic point to start with, because aside from what everyone has been wondering and everyone has been hoping, we got confirmation. We got to see angry Connor is back. The family is not with him. He's not waving at his kids in the audience. He's not talking about doing charity. He's not talking about bringing his kids to see the fucking sights and taking his family to do the Vegas thing. Connor's here to do Connor things again. And when Connor shows up to do Connor things, people get put to fucking sleep. I am not in the least bit so delusional as to think that that last loss doesn't matter. It absolutely does. The difference is Connor did not go in to that last fight looking at it as a rematch. Connor went into that fight looking at it as a guy that he fought someone like a few years ago, still convinced that Connor is on another level above everyone else in this division. And while it is true to a certain degree, we didn't see rematch Connor. And as weird as it is, it's been proven. Conor McGregor is a motherfucker. Rematch Connor is a whole different motherfucker. When Conor McGregor has any kind of an idea what you're capable of and knows in his mind what he has to do, what he needs to be, how he needs to be to get that Conor McGregor victory, he comes in way more ruthless. And the Diaz double down is one of the best examples. He went in to the Diaz first fight very similar to the way that he went into the Poirier rematch. He had boxing on his mind. He was looking at Floyd. He went into the Poirier rematch with boxing on his mind. He was looking at the Manny Pacquiao fight. He wasn't the Conor that got him to that fight. But when that Diaz rematch came back, that was not the same Conor you saw the first time. When we get this weekend coming up, I am absolutely convinced this is not going to be the same Conor that we saw back in January. The Conor that came out wide and cocky, not using any kicks, not checking any kicks, not using any of his tools, just trying to walk Dustin Poirier down. This time, not only do we get rematch Conor McGregor, we get pissed off Conor McGregor, because Dustin didn't just beat Conor McGregor the last time they were out. He didn't just give Conor McGregor his first ever KO loss in the UFC. He did something much, much worse and much more dangerous. He insulted Conor financially. He called Conor out with his wallet. He tried to make the charity that Conor used to start the entire rematch conversation against him. What did Conor do? Not only did he turn around and still give the $500,000 away, but he gave it to a charity right next to Dustin's charity, the Boys and Girls Club of Lafayette, Louisiana. He gave the $500,000 that Dustin tried to give him shit about, just like he said he was gonna, but he didn't give it to Dustin. Now you've done something more dangerous than talk shit to Conor. You've done something more dangerous than knock Conor McGregor out. You have personally attacked his ego and his integrity. And if there is anything that we have seen in the entirety of the Conor McGregor era in mixed martial arts, is that when you get to Conor's personal life, the switch flips. That's the kind of shit that gets Conor McGregor to throw dollies at your fucking bus. That's the kind of Conor McGregor that gets coked out and brings 40 crazy Irishmen to hunt you the fuck down. That's the kind of Conor McGregor that comes in wanting to take your fucking head off. This is no longer a fight. This is no longer a trilogy. This is when Conor McGregor gets personal. And when Conor McGregor gets personal, he gets dangerous, because he doesn't want to fight you. He doesn't want to hurt you. He has to embarrass you. He has to correct you getting one over on him and make his win so unforgettable that people won't even talk about the fact that you beat him leading up to this fight. We have got the fire in Conor McGregor that I have not seen since Sinead O'Connor's bald ass was standing in the fucking rafters singing her ass off, walking him out. This is the Conor McGregor that is the most dangerous. You have got the ego injured, and that's what brings out the biggest dog in Conor McGregor. I like Dustin Poirier. I think he's a great fighter. He has absolutely been the epitome of evolution in a mixed martial arts career. But you have made the second greatest mistake, only to starting a land war in Asia, injuring Conor McGregor's ego. That, my friend, is going to cost you Saturday night. It's going to cost you the chance that you had at the belt, and it's going to cost you the chance that you had of keeping a one-up over Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, round 1, K fucking O.
Okay, look, I can see where you're going with that. I can understand the rematch thing, but at the same time, he really didn't beat Nick that bad, or fucking Nate that bad in the rematch. That's all I'm saying. But, you know, I like where your head's at on that one. Whether you truly believe yourself or not, we'll leave that to a different day.
All I'll say, they can walk Conor McGregor out with his fucking rascal scooter to box Floyd Mayweather propped up on fucking strings like a Weekend at Bernie's movie, and I'm still gonna fucking root for Conor McGregor.
Fair enough.
That being said, regardless of how we see things, the only way to guarantee to find out what's actually going to go down and how the future of the UFC will unravel is going to be to tune in this weekend to UFC's 264 pay-per-view event. That being said, before we get out of here, I do want to take just a moment here and thank these fine gentlemen for coming along, taking part, giving their opinions, and talking the shit out of this card with me here. So first and foremost, unfortunately, he did have to step out. So if you would like to catch a little more of our special return guest after the show, N.Divine83, either here on YouTube or on Instagram to catch old Nick Divine himself. You guys will love his content either way you go. Go check out our buddy over there. That being said, though, we do have the coveted interim new guy, purple strap holder himself here on the show. And I got to thank you once again for taking time out this evening. We do appreciate you making the time to be here with us. So if at this point folks want to find out a little bit more about that interim purple strap holder training regiment you've got going on there, how can they catch you after the show, RJ?
In the words of Mater, we do it live. All the mess ups are still in here. You can always find me over there, RJ MMA official. I'm gonna do something that I don't typically do because I'm starting to take it kind of seriously and have some fun with it. You can go check me out on Twitch.
Oh my god, really?
At yeah, you heard it. Because I actually want to start like hanging out and doing more stuff on Twitch at the Whiskey Ginger because I like whiskey and I'm a ginger. Because I want to start actually taking that kind of seriously, like I take this seriously. You can go check me out over there. I stream pretty much anytime I'm not at work. And at RJMMA official on Instagram, come talk some shit and have some fun. And in Discord, which is in the link of this video and on the bottom of this broadcast the entire time that it's been that's been on. You can go over there, join the Discord, come talk some shit, see news and recent events that don't get brought up during the broadcast here on YouTube, and the fan Q&A segment. Drop some questions in. We want to start seeing questions. I want to start answering questions. But thank you for having me on, like always. I love being here.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated. That being said, I don't know how they could, but if one at this point has not figured out how to follow the absolute freshest guest a man could ask for, and one of my favorite combat compatriots that we have got here on the show, Fresh03 on YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere else. Follow that motherfucker. Send him some love. He deserves every fucking bit of it. We miss him here on the show and can't wait till we can get him back on here. But that being said, if at this point someone has not figured out where to go to get themselves some tasty cheese curds and how the best route to find themselves a Kenosha man to teach him how to cripple, how can they get a hold of you after the show, Mr. Golf T?
I can tell you one place they're not going to find me on fucking Twitch.
Oh my God.
No, Wednesday nights right here, 9:30 on the YouTubes. Every fucking Wednesday. And of course here Thursdays, every fucking day that I can be here. Barring I'm not fucking sick or anything like that. Yeah, I'll gladly give you some directions. I'll give you directions on how to steer clear of things like Twitch and other things along the way so you don't get sidetracked.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always glad to have you here. that, boys and girls, is going to be all we've got for this particular episode here. So if you do enjoy what we get up to here on the I'm No Joe podcast, give us a like, subscribe down below. Make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss an episode of this show. On the other hand, if you don't enjoy what we do, and we're just a couple of fuckheads and some dude trying to start a Twitch channel that his old lady's not approving of, go ahead and give us that thumbs down because we earned it and we won't dispute it. That being said, though, we are going to go ahead and call it all for this particular episode. So remember, folks, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless you thought Cosby was really going to get held accountable.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.